High achievers don't always have a lot of close friends, and some of it is our fault, and some of it is how society sees high achievers. If this is something you can relate to, or you're just curious, then you're going to want to listen to this episode where I talk about why high achieving women struggle to maintain friendships. Hello, lovely dynamic women. Welcome to the Dynamic Women podcast. I am Diane Rolston, your host, and today I'm going to talk about why high achieving women struggle to maintain friendships, and why some of it's our fault, but some of it is how society sees us and sets things up for us. But anyway, this is the second in the series where I'm talking about friendships, and this came about because I have started the 50 before 50, meaning I would love to have 50 close friends before I turn 50. And so I have 3.5 years to make that happen, which is fantastic because I feel like it takes time to make friends. And so if you want to listen to the preceding episode, then I encourage you to do so. And there's going to be two more after this. So the first reason why we often have a hard time maintaining friendships, creating friendships, is because we're busy focused on work and achieving. And so that doesn't really come as a surprise, right? But if you've maybe, high achievers are thinking, oh, I should reach out, and then they didn't. And if you've ever felt that way, you're not alone, right? We are so good at showing up for things we are committed to business-wise that get us towards a goal, just not always for friendships. Now, if a friend needs us, we are there for sure. But just the fun of friendships, the enjoyment of friendships, maybe we're not always there. And I am totally aware that this is could be seen as a very gross stereotype. And I'm just doing it based on my experience, the thousands of women I have coached, and the multiple thousands of women I've spoken to in audiences who are like, yeah, 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 I agree. I feel it. And not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, or it's at least caused an obstacle, right? And so, there's been many times that I have thought I should text her, I should set something up, and then I look at my calendar and I say, when? I want to go for a walk, but when? Especially with the weather. I want to like go away for a weekend. How can we get everybody's schedule to align? And then there's like client calls and kids' schedules and other business things, other life things. And I then say, "Ah, I'll do it later. I'll figure it out later." But I keep thinking about these friends. And a lot of times as a high achiever, I'm used to prioritizing what feels urgent, what feels important. Not that friends are not important, but fighting the fires or dealing like supporting clients and things that are often measurable. We don't really measure our friendships of like, how much of a friend am I here? Or how many friends do I have? Though I am doing that now. So since we're wired for results, productivity often wins out, right? We focus on what moves things forward. We create growth, income, momentum. It's like we're checking off the boxes, and friendships don't always have that clear outcome. There's no immediate ROI because we are not valuing our fun time, our friend time as much. It's like we're not allowed to have the fun time because we have a lot of work time. I can remember one of my clients, VA clients, saying to me, Diane, I knew I had a problem when a friend asked me to go out for dinner. And I said, sure. And the earliest date I could give them was 3 months away. That's when they knew. Like if I can't make a dinner date with a friend, dinner date, right? You're not supposed to be working at night. If I can't make a dinner date with a friend for 3 months, then something's got to shift, right? For them, it was getting a virtual assistant, made it more possible for them to offload work and then have more free time. The second reason is can be an identity shift that happens. As high achieving women, we evolve fast. Right. So we're like, okay, now we're doing this, and now we're doing this, and now we're doing this. And so the people that understand us are a lot of times the people in business. And it's not to say that they're not our friends. And a lot of times that's why we make friends with people we work with. But every time we have a new level, we have new responsibilities and new roles, especially when it even is not just business owner, but it's leader, mom, maybe it's mentor, volunteer, board member. There's so many things. And with each level up or with each change, identity shift, we have new responsibilities that come. So we don't always bring our friendships with us, right? Because we assume that these people don't fit our lives anymore, or they, it's like it just naturally dies, right? They move down the list of priorities, it just naturally falls off or dies, or one or two of the parties like just doesn't reach out anymore. And so I guess that's how it quietly dies. But in this case, I can remember someone in CAPS that I was getting to be close to as a friend. We did some board stuff together, and that was really fun. And then she asked me to do some higher level board stuff. And she said in her invite to me, "Hey, this is going to be so great. We could hang out together more." And I didn't want to do the board work, but I wanted to hang out with her more. So I replied, I said, "Can I just say no and still hang out with you more?" And she was like, "For sure, for sure." But I know with one of my friends, we had a volunteer role together and we spent a lot of time together volunteering. However, when it came to actually hanging out, we weren't. And when the volunteer role was done, we had less of scheduled, committed time to be together. Because maybe, and maybe the next trap is the thing that is going to be affecting you. It's the later lie. I'll do it later. So high achievers, we're always building towards something, right? The next goal, the next level, the next phase. So we tell ourselves when things calm down after this launch, once the season is over, but things do they just don't always calm down, right? Because we move the goalposts or something else comes out that we really want to do. And so our time commitment, energy commitment just doesn't change. And I get there are seasons. There are seasons when you're like, I'm right in the middle of this. I can't see friends. But when later and later and later becomes never, that's when there's an issue. And so a lot of these are by, driven by our drive, right? They're because we're high achievers or because we have a strong desire to succeed. But there's another one that's a little bit more vulnerable. We maybe don't want to be a burden. And this one is really subtle, but it's really big for high achievers, right? We're used to being the strong one, the leader, the capable one, the one who has it all handled. So we think, I'm not going to reach out to so and so. They're probably busy. I don't want to interrupt them. I'll wait until I have more time. And we don't reach out. And we don't want to be a burden. We don't want to be bothersome. And so we just deal with things ourselves where we normally would have reached out to a friend. And then this is where we get into how society kind of screws us over, right? And it's almost the opposite of a lot of the things I've already said, or I mean, connected to the things that I have already said, because we are told we are capable, therefore we shouldn't need to reach out to friends to, carry sometimes a heavy burden or to talk through something with someone else. Also, that idea that strong women don't need help. We can do it all ourselves. So we not only have to hold the emotional burden, but maybe a physical burden or with doing things. Also, that priority, society's priority setting for us. You want that bigger house, that better this, that bigger that next level. And it's our value comes in external things based on our success rather than our satisfaction, which would be the friendships. They're not valued as high, though everyone says, you know, people are the most valuable, right? When there's a fire, as long as everyone's okay, that's all that matters, a lot of times people say. And with higher roles, there's an expectation that you're the first one there, the last one to leave, that you're giving up your evenings, your weekends, that you're kind of always there at the helm. And therefore, like, could you really skip out on an extra meeting at night or somebody asking to meet with you through work? and you're saying instead, I can't, I'm hanging out with my friend. So it's a little bit frowned upon. And even though people are like, no, 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 family's important, friends are important, all that, to say no to something that is connected to work is very frowned upon. And then here's another thing that happens. Since society says this person's successful, this person's high achieving, this person knows a lot of people, and I touched on this in the last episode, they already have a lot of friends. Therefore, we don't need to reach out to them. We don't need to see if they want to be included, invited. They have a lot of friends. They don't want to make more friends. And a lot of times, high achievers are the loneliest. The leaders are the loneliest because we know a lot of people, but we don't have a lot of people we can confide in, that we can lean on. Many times I've tried to lean on people, and the result was they leaned right back on me, or they didn't know how to handle it when I became vulnerable, which meant I put the wall back up and I pulled back and I was okay again. So I've said this in the past. You have to check on your strong friends. You have to check on the strong women, the successful women in your life, because you never know what kind of demons behind the scenes they're dealing with, or the loneliness, or the pressures. They need to not only have friends to lean on and to share the burden with, but they need friends just to have fun, because that's one of the first categories that leaves a high achiever's life. When we look at the 10 areas, one of the first to leave is fun and recreation. Friends is another one, health's another one, sadly. And so I think as a society, we need to change. We need to change how things are. And not just having friends in business, having friends in all areas. As I said last episode, talking about, friends, my soccer friends, my church friends, my neighborhood friends, my like friends, childhood friends. And I have friends in different categories, different areas, and those relationships really enrich my life in different ways. So the truth moment is we don't just lose friendships or not have them. There's a lot of things in how our lives and businesses and the way we're driven is structured that doesn't support them. And we can push back against society, but high achieving women, like let's drop the walls a little bit to show a little bit more of the vulnerability, because we're really good at building systems and reaching our goals, except in this category. So I encourage you to start making this a priority if you feel you want to have more friendships or deepen the ones you currently have. Prioritize it with intention so that they don't slowly disappear, instead, so that they can build up. You can design this part of your life, design your friendships, design how they are, because you care about it, because you want that to happen. And because you now are choosing to give friends a place to live in your life with time and energy and love dedicated to it. Because a good girlfriend time, that's where you get the belly laughs and the fun and really that caring love and support. Please make sure you check out the next two episodes, The Friendship Gap That No One Talks About, and so that you can have like deeper relationships, and how to build and maintain meaningful friendships as a busy woman. I'm going to give you some hacks around that. And please listen to the previous episode, which is talking about the 50 Friends by 50 challenge and why I'm doing it and what it's teaching me. You can always use this as an opportunity to reach out to a friend to share this with them and maybe start a conversation. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe and write us a review. And when you do, please screenshot it, email it over to team@dianerolston.com, and share your mailing address so we can send you a little something special in the mail. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. And until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.